He was like a dog called for a walk, Chapati? Yes, of course, but I'm telling you, I'm not very fond, but if you give me, yes, I will take. So she said, I have a cook, who used to cook Indian food. She is not here today, but on Friday she will come. So Friday we will have chapati. So from then till Friday afternoon, Babuji was talking only of chapati. Vasarthi, we are going to have chapati on Friday. I said, Babuji, today is only Thursday. But you must be prepared for chapati tomorrow. See. Friday morning came. He didn't eat breakfast. He said, don't eat too much bread. It's not good for you. And I'm telling you, tomorrow, this afternoon we are going to have chapati. Like that. 12:30 was lunchtime. 11:45 he was at the table. And he said, oh, Veera, don't bother. I'm here, because I have nothing else to do. I'm just sitting here. Pasarthi, you also come and sit. And we both sat side by side. There was no tablecloth even on the table. Then they came, put on the table, brought out the cutlery, And then the plates, forks and spoons, knife. And Babuji was sitting more and more erect, see. And suddenly this lady came with a big silver tray, with a big plate on it, with a silver dish covering it, the usual luminity style. And only the pepper was missing. And along he came and Babuji, very humbly looked away on the other side and said, what is a chapati? After all, a chapati. And then it came. And they opened the dish. And there was a papad. And Babuji looked at me. Ye kya hai? I said, papad hai. But kuch boliye mat, I said, don't say anything because they will feel hurt. See, or even more hurt than they disappointed you. Just eat. And he took, one on his plate, broke a little, ate it. And he said, sister, I'm suddenly having a stomach ache. You don't mind if I don't eat? Oh, Babuji, but we have been preparing for this for 3 days. Yes, I'm telling you, you keep it, I will try to eat it later. And he got off the chair because it was a little high, And they took him back to the bedroom. Then that lady came to me and said, Chari, are you not eating? I said, well, how can I eat when my master doesn't eat? So we both went to bed. And Babuji said, look at these people, they don't know what is a chapati. But I said, Babuji, you have to eat something. So I went, made a couple of slices of toast, took out the crust from all sides, dipped it in milk and fed him. He said, you also eat. So I also ate. And we went to bed, slept. And for the next week, it was the sole item of conversation, chapati. And then one day, I went to the market, brought some wheat flour, some butter which I converted to ghee, some salt, potatoes, and I cooked chapati and potatoes. And I served. And Veera Devi said, Charlie, what is this thing that you have served us? I said, Veera, this is chapati. For heaven's sake, and what was that thing we gave you on the other day? I said, that's called papad. She said, oh, is that why Babuji didn't eat? I said, no. He really had stomachache. He would have eaten everything, but that was too much for him. This is soft, and nice, and that's why I cooked for you today. Oh, you're a lovely cook, Shari. What is this? I said, it's potatoes fried in our Indian way. Oh, delicious. Why didn't you do it earlier? So that was cooking for him. Another time, the same trip we were going from, what was that place? Detroit to this place I told you, East Lansing, Michigan. That girl had asked me in advance when I was in New York what she should cook for Babuji. She was an 18-year-old this size, Irish. I told her Babuji will have this, Babuji will have that. I heard that later on she was terribly annoyed. Oh, he's a dictator, that guy, Charlie, Babuji will have soup, Babuji will have asparagus. What does he think he is? That was another reaction. She asked me what he could have. And when I tell her it, I became a dictator. See. So our overseas trips were punctuated with a lot of humor, a great deal of unnecessary trouble for Babuji Maharaj, a great deal of suffering for him, a great deal of exposure to foreign situations, foreign atmosphere, foreign people, for food. And yet he never batted an eyelid. See. He took what was given, he suffered, and only said, you must always be with me because you are in a high condition and you give me strength. You see, that is why sometimes people say why he is always taking so and so. The reason is this, that there is somebody with a congenial spiritual atmosphere which will at least give a protective ring around the master. And Babuji and I were in Sister Stella Jacquaros's house in Etwa. It was called the Priere, It was a big compound with a lot of trees, and it was an old priory. And then we had a room about this size, by this. And he had a bed in one side, and there was a big window, and we could hear the blackbirds, all day. Very beautiful. They started about 4:30 in the morning, go to bed at 10:30. Can you imagine 18 hours of birds? He felt very sick, but he had a particular spot on the bed where he used to sit. I said, why do you always choose that spot? He said, there's a circle in which grace falls here 24 hours of the day now. Normally it comes to me only 1 hour a day when I'm at home in India, anywhere in India. Because I'm telling you, India is a holy country, though there is a lot of, crudeness and ugliness and corruption, even in my country. But it is a holy country. The soil is holy, the air is holy. There, Lalaji blesses me with 1 hour of grace every day. Here he is giving me grace 24 hours. That's why, I sit in this for my health's sake. You also come and we both, sort of sunk into that circle. And you could feel the difference. People ask me, will you protect me, Babuji? I'm going to Leh, or I'm going to Timbuktu, I'm going to Nigeria. I said, depend on it. There is always protection. How do I know? I said, if you come back alive, you have been protected. And they used to sometimes get very angry because I'm talking of death. One man here right in Madras, one day we were going for satsang. He is dead now. He died long ago. And we were walking for satsang from my house to Mr. Veerravan's house, and it's about a mile and a quarter. On the way, he said, I have applied for a job yesterday. I said, why you are in a good job? He was getting 6,000 rupees at that time, which was like 60,000 rupees today. I said, you are in a good job. He said, no, I have applied for a job which will pay me 4,000. I said, have you gone crazy? You are getting 6,000, you want a job at 4,000. He said, no, I'm testing Babuji Maharaj. I should not get this job. If he is a real master, I should not get this job. And I said, suppose you get it, what will you? Master is no use. I said, Sirsika, there's a much better test. He said, please tell me. I want to test Master also. I said, come with me. We'll go to Mambalam station. And you lie down across the tracks. The next train, if it passes, doesn't kill you. Babuji is wonderful. If you are dead, it doesn't matter. You have proved that Babuji is useless. That is the final test. Of course, he was a little annoyed, but he understood the point. And he started praying that he should not get the job. I said, what does it matter? If you get it, refuse it. So you see, this idea of testing the master is there for everybody. How to test the master. So Babuji said, don't see how to test the master. Just hope the master does not test you. Because in today's humanity, maybe there are only 10 or 15 people who are fit to be my disciples. This he told in the privacy, to some people like Sister Kasturi, myself, and one or two others. He said, it is a great privilege to be accepted without test. In the old days, you had to do this, you had to do that, you had to stand on your head in Sirsasana and fast for so many days. Then only you are allowed inside the ashram. Today, everybody comes, I take them. I said, but Babuji, should you not also test? Because people don't value because you don't test. Ask them to go for 6 months, do Sirsasana and come back. He said, Sahaj Marg is not like that, This is for everybody. So Babuji said, no test in Sahaj Marg. I said, then what about the old acharyas, gurus, rishis? He said, people will be shocked if I tell them something. But I'm telling you, if a guru has to test his disciple, it means the guru is incompetent. I said, why? He said, it is because he cannot make him what he should be. Therefore, he has to test him. If he has that confidence and he has such a guru who gives him the power to do it, he should be able to make even a stone into a god. Whereas we are making gods into stones. See? Excuse me, Lord Krishna. No? So that was his attitude to testing. He said, I can take anything and make it what it ought to be, provided willingness. Always willingness. We were in Denmark and in, I think, Mete's house, first visit. And we had an interview by the local radio, the Danish radio. Lasted 1 hour. See. At one stage, that interviewer asked Babuji, Babuji, what are you really? He said, I am what I ought to be. He said, aren't we all what we ought to be? He said, no, you are all what you are. What you ought to be is something else. And to help you become that only, I have come to Denmark with my Pasati. See? So you see what we ought to be, what we are, what we were. It's not a question of sequence from the past to the present to the future. It is a question of, I say, potato as it was, potato boiled and potato eaten. No? It can all coalesce in one instant of time. Or it can take hundreds of years. Or it may not happen at all and the potato will be rotten. So he used to say, you know, that human beings do not realize the opportunity given to them. Lalaji Maharaj was such a great personality, you know. Such personalities may not come even once in 10,000 years. We should grab that opportunity while it comes. But unfortunately, people waste their time and think we will wait till the next one. When will the next one come and where? They don't know. And when the next one comes, are they going to be here? They don't know. If they are here, in what form? Are they going to be human beings or something else? They don't know. But it is human nature, you see, that we waste everything that God has given us and acquire many things that God does not want to give us, which we create for ourselves. And then he said, like money, like unnecessary things we have in our houses. We accumulate what we should not and don't even acquire what we should. And therefore we go away as we came, and then you have this circle of what you call rebirth. To the west, 72, 76, 80 and 82. And to the east, in 77 and 81. When we were going to Europe for the first time in 72, it was a long trip, 3 months or a little more, because it was Europe and USA. USA means it's not a huge thing, not all of Europe, America, just the East Coast few cities. I asked him, why you have not chosen somebody who knows your language, who eats your food, with whom you can, you know, be more, shall we say, at home. He said, if I wanted to choose somebody else, I know how to do it. Then perhaps he felt he had been too harsh, so he said, you are Lalaji's choice. I said, but Babuji, there are people who can cook for you chapatis or, you know, dal. I don't know all these things. He said, when the opportunity comes and when the need comes, God gives the necessary powers. Shakti, I'm telling you, he gives Shakti. And that was proved, as I have already recounted, in my ability to cook for him, wash his clothes, which I have never even done for my father. I always used to wash my underwear, you know, because I have traveled a lot on my companies. I used to wash them in the evening before bed. And because generally we had an air-conditioned room, I would just pull them to size and hang them over a chair, and they were as if they were ironed next morning. But he had these long dhotis, you know, yards and yards, and this hand-stitched cloth banians with a pocket. And there was generally a pocket here inside, into which he put his money. You know. what little money he carried. So my father seems to approach him in Shahjahanpur. He said, "Why are you taking this young fellow? He has no experience. You take me." He said, "Rajgopal Cherry, we are both old fellows. Dono booढ़े hain in Hindi, you see. And one old man cannot help another." So that fell through. But my father insisted on telling him, no, but my son, he doesn't have enough experience. I went to Europe. He went to Europe much after I went. He said, "Rajgopal Chari, I have already told you we are both old. I must respect your age. I cannot take you." See. So I became, originally I used to think of it as a scapegoat, but it was really a great divine opportunity for me. Because during those foreign tours, I have developed so much intimacy with Babuji Maharaj. I was the only one with him. There was no second person ever. We were living side by side 24 hours of the day. I had to bathe him. I had to prepare his hookah before he went for his bath so that it is ready when he came and sat on his chair. Then I had to go for my bath after giving him his milk. Then I had to have breakfast. Then by 9 o'clock, satsang, most of which I had to take, conduct. And when we were coming back from Europe, he was praising me extravagantly, what I have done for you, this, that and the other. And among many things that I learned was the perfection to produce the hookah. When I came back, I had burns all over my, this part of the hand. Because you carry a chillum like this with coals heaped up, and they tend to fall off. And I had to hold them here until we had gone into a safe place. Because all houses are carpeted, And one day in the evening, he was very restless. He had a cough, so I had restricted his hookahs to 6. And he puffed away all those 6 by 6 p.m. And then he looked at me and said, "Is it possible to have one more chillam?" I said, "Babuji, 6 are over." "Theek hai," and he put on his, shawl or blanket and went to sleep. Pretended to be asleep. Then 8:30, he came out. We were in a hall, all smoking away, He opened the door and he stood like this. And he saw me there with about 25 Danes, all puffing. And he said, "Acha, you are restricting my smoking and your smoking. I will tell your father." So immediately we all went in and he made a chillam for him. And it was going on till 12:30. He said, "Someday I may write a book on he, I and the hookah." Because it was a cementing bond, And it went on, almost till midnight, and everybody was happy. When we were in Malaysia, very often he felt he should not smoke. Because in the East, they expect different things from gurus. So he would not smoke the hookah, but he would take a cigarette sometimes. And he would hold up a cigarette like this, and it was finished. In one pull, he could finish one cigarette. Then we felt it was not good for him because of the paper, and he was getting a cough, so we bought a pipe. I had to necessarily fill it. He said, "Dekho theek se chalta hai ki nahi, see if it pulls all right." So I had to put it in my mouth and puff. And I gave it to him. He turned it upside down. The bowl facing down, and all the tobacco fell out. He said, "This is useless," and threw it away. One day what happened, at night after he had gone to bed, my packet of cigarette was empty. I was surprised because there were a few cigarettes in it, So I took out his packet. He smoked State Express 555 and smoked 2 cigarettes before going to bed. Next morning I went to bed. When I came back, he said, "I did not know how this happened, but there are 2 cigarettes less in my packet." I was astounded because he never knew what was there, what was not there. I said, "Babuji, I am